morning we are going to be focusing on obviously the Port Tourism and Business Network, which is why we're here, but also the presentation this morning is going to focus on smart tools and resources to help you and your port and the businesses in the port promote themselves and the region that they trade in. So this morning I'm just going to share the screen with everybody and we'll start the presentation. Can everybody see where I am? Perfect. Okay. So the reason that this is so important is because as businesses, as entities, and as regions and port regions in particular, and in whether you're in the tourism sector or not, there are smart tools and resources that can support you, your business, to both to operate and to promote your port and your business. So that's the focus of today, because that's what drives traffic. That's what helps you reach your ideal clients and customers and visitors. Okay, again, just a reminder, we're here to support, engage, diversify, grow, support the community, collaborate with each other and create sustainability. The focus is to provide simple and smart online and offline resources, tools and direction to support effective promotion and business growth. And the one thing that I'm quite passionate about is upping the ante. With all our clients, no matter what sector they're in, I always say, well, we can do better. How can we up the ante? And if we have challenges, let's deal with those challenges and move forward. And let's help businesses, and in this case, portal regions, to reach their full potential. I was at 2 or 3 meetings yesterday evening and last night, but one of the meetings I was at, I spoke about reaching the full potential. There's always more in the tank. And this particular entity has challenges. But what I found and what was found last night was a lot of the people in that entity, they're not willing to engage and look at different ways of doing things. And when I saw that, I had to ask the question, do you want change? Do you want progress? Because if you do, brilliant. But if you don't, then realize that if you don't do things a little bit differently, then things stay the same. And that's the case with businesses and the portal regions as well. You know, there's lots of opportunity in each of the 5 ports. There's smart tools and resources at hand that don't cost anything and that are already there. But sometimes when we're in businesses, we don't see it. So the support that we're going to provide today, we're going to look at the why and the so what. I'll explain that further. Then we're going to define the ICA, which is your ideal client, guest or visitor avatar. What resources have you already? We're going to look at what is there already. Some smart stuff, and I'm not talking about all tech. This is online and offline. Balancing the online and offline. The Ports Place app is going to be presented by James Smith. And James, thank you for being here this morning. We do appreciate it. And it's a fabulous app, so there's a lot to be learned in that. Planning. All of this is of no use if you do not have a plan. Look at what do you need as a business, as a region and as an entity. What will work for your business or your portal, your port, because not everything that we mention here is going to be applicable to your business or your port. And that is okay. But what we need to do is help you to select what will fit. And the action piece. The secret to everything is consistency. So 2 little quotes. I'm a lover of quotes that make sense. I was interviewed last week on Radio 1 on a business show here in Ireland. And one of the things I was asked about were business affirmations. And this one is one of the first ones that I ever heard. Whether we believe we can or we believe we can't, we are right. Now, I heard that quote from my dance instructor when we were in competition. And we were at a world stage level. So we had to get our heads right. We had to get our head in the game, right? So whether we believe we can or we can't, we are right. We are in control of whether we progress or whether change happens. Action is the real measure of intelligence. And that's from Napoleon Hill, who would be quite a business rich individual who has started and sold on many businesses. Action is the real measure of intelligence. Okay, it's okay having stuff that you say you're going to do, but you have to do it. That's the secret to it. Okay. Now, the why and the so what. Why is this valuable for you in your port? These tools and resources that we're going to look at today are things that can help you manage time, manage your diary, manage your booking systems, promote your business, and much more. The so what to that is, just going to let somebody in there again. The so what to that is, if you don't use them, then you're still going to struggle with what you've always struggled with. If you don't look at them, you'll never know what they can do or what they can't do for your business. And there's no awareness, okay? Okay, so the next thing, your ICA, and many of you might not know what this means or have heard of it before, but the ICA, I call it the ideal client or customer avatar. And I think it's one of the most fundamental and important things that any business or port region needs to do. They need to look at the who, the where, the what, and the how. So the who is, who are your ideal visitors? Who are your ideal customers? Who are your ideal guests? Everybody is not going to be your ideal customer, guest, or visitor. They're not. And for instance, in our business, we have our ideal customers are across 4 different spectrums. We have SME businesses, but we're quite specific about that. Tourism, hospitality, construction, the media, retail, professional services, and public sector bodies. That's the who in our business. The where do you find your people? Where do you find your customers, your guests, and your visitors? Where do they hang out? So, for instance, there, Barry, in your instance, these people, can you describe just for a moment, can I bring you in there for a minute, Barry, if you want to take yourself off mute, your ideal visitors, how would you describe them to me?
I've just put this on now. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Yes. Ideal visitor. Well, I'm not really sure if we have an ideal visitor. We'll take anybody who comes in over the door, but families, really, basically, people who come with different various generations. It's nice to see older generations come in with younger people, because the story we're trying to tell may be sort of familiar to an older generation, but not so familiar to a younger generation.
Okay, so
nice.
That's a really good example, Barry, actually. So you're giving me loads of ideas now for you. Okay, so the who is the family unit. That's one of the who's. You might have other individuals then from different countries trying to come as well. But let's look at, and you can have many ideal clients profiles, and it's a profiling exercise, essentially. Okay, they do it in murder cases we see on TV. This is the same thing. You profile the person. So with the families, you're profiling families that may have an associated history or connection with a region, right? May have younger, further second and third generation. They may have a military piece in their family. Okay, how do you engage that? You're able to engage it. You have to engage it across different age profiles then, because how do you make that fun for the children? And if you can make something fun for a child, you get the adult in. I know that as a parent. Happy child, happy mammy. And it's true. If you can make that an enjoyable and a tangible experience for them, then they will come back and they will have no problem telling people about how they found the experience in Holyhead with yourselves. Okay, where do you find them? Where do you find families? So Barry, again, do you look online? Do you look offline? How do you increase awareness about what you are and who you are?
Well, I think we put a lot of effort into social media, really, and we're aware of the interest we have on Facebook, which is probably the older generation now, I think. Yeah. We played about with Instagram a little bit, which is supposed to be the one which attracts the younger generation. But really, we look to promote ourselves and create interest so that people, when they come down, they are expecting something interesting to engage with.
And Barry, have you ever tried video?
Interestingly enough, we've just completed a small video for the museum, which we will be using to start off this coming season at Easter. It's around the story of a Holyhead ship called HMS Tara, which some of you may be aware of. But the filmmakers have expanded it out to promote the museum. So we created a little story that might engage with people, a little historical thing that's quite unusual story.
And do you bring the community, locals into that story as well?
Well, yes, in some ways. What we tend to do is to engage with the community outside the museum. Particularly in the last few years with the First World War, we've had many opportunities for commemorations. The Leinster, Holyhead lost 5 ships during the First World War.
Yeah,
the town lost many hundreds of people. So we have opportunities to reach out to them. We're doing a couple of talks this coming winter as well in the community. One is around the Tara, around this film, but also we are presenting a talk on Holyhead's part in the independence of Ireland 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's a big thing.
Many important people passed through the town on the way to Westminster, backwards and forwards.
Yeah,
quite some interesting events occurred. I
can imagine. I can well imagine.
So we've got we presented a talk on that in February.
Barry, I'd like to have a chat with you separate to this actually, because I think there's a lot of stuff there that, just to give you some maybe ideas on other stuff that might help engage, if that suits yourself, we might organise that. So the where then is you're looking at, where do your people hang out? And it's not all online, but there's a certain proportion of it online. Then the what is, what do you give them? What do you need to do to engage your ideal customers? And you have to be very focused about this, because if you're trying to attract the masses, that's fine if the masses are your ideal clients and customers and visitors, but if they're not, you're wasting your time. And so you need to get very specific about your profiles of your target visitors, clients, customers, right? And then the how piece relates back to what action needs to be taken, what tools can you use to help this. It's like when you're taking a journey or going on a holiday, you have to break it down into booking your flights, all the different steps between when you book your flights and your accommodation to when you get to where you want to go. And there's a lot of different steps. So it's the same when you're aiming to reach your ideal clients. It's not a quick fix. And there has to be a bit of thought and strategy put into it. So hopefully today, this is what some of these tools will help you do. And if anyone wants to have a discussion with me separately afterwards, I'm more than happy to do that. Is that okay? And that applies to people who are watching the recording as well. They can contact us directly on email, mags@bofinconsultancy.com. And myself and Jenny are very, very happy to facilitate a one-on-one if it supports you in any way. Is that fair enough? Okay. So the first port of call, pardon the pun, is to look at your existing resources and to realize that you have them. You have existing pieces there. Every business I go into, regardless of the challenge, has more readily available than they realize. And we have to join the human dots. That's the one thing that I stated there that I'm very, very passionate about, I suppose, is not to lose sight of the human piece in the business. The first thing you need to do is look at your own circle. All right, so look at your contacts that you have. Look at your phone. And this might sound really basic, but I tell you, this stuff works. So you have a list of contacts, your existing customers, visitors, or guests. Have you got a record of them? And if so, obviously exercising due diligence with GDPR, can you communicate with them? When was the last time you communicated with them about what you're doing in your business, your port, your region? And how can you do that in a positive and proactive way? Your contacts include your suppliers and your counterparts. It's not just about the ideal clients that are out there. It's also about other people in your region, other people that you know in the business. The suppliers of service will talk about your service if you let them know what's going on. Interact. Give people that information. Working with a group recently, and the crux of their challenge is communication. And their lapse in communication has affected their business hugely. And it's not just lapse in communication with customers, but their lapse in communication with each other in the sector, with their counterparts, with even some of their perceived competitors. Even though they operate in the same space, they're always on a very professional and friendly basis in terms of getting on with others. You know, competition doesn't mean that you have to be, God, we're not going to work with them, we're not going to talk to them. It's all about using communication, collaboration in that space. So they're the basics. They're the first existing resources: your own circle, your existing customers, guests and visitors, your contacts, whether they're on your phone, whether they're on LinkedIn, your suppliers of service or product, and your counterparts. They are a valuable resource, a very valuable resource. And you can get untold benefit from interacting with this, right? And it doesn't cost you a penny. All right, so that's the first thing. And I know I've said this previously, and I will say it again, human to human. You know, you can balance the offline with the online. I think that's hugely important. Technology is very, very important, and we need it. You know, it's a game changer. However, we also need to remember that it's people behind every piece of technology, and people is what you want, physical humans coming into your business, your port, and your region. So we need to understand that to communicate with them, we need to remember that it's people, and we can do it offline as well as online. Okay, so I'm going to start with some smart stuff. Now, I picked some brief stuff. There's a plethora of stuff out there, and if you want more details on any of this stuff, you can ask us for it, and we'll be happy to provide it. But I've broken it down into challenges that are very common, not just in the tourism sector, but in general business and personally as well. Time management, it's always a work in progress. So we have a couple of systems we use. Some of these that are here we use, some of them that we don't use, or we may have used in the past. So Toggle is a system that you can manage your time on. And I'm going to just stop the share and move to the Toggle website for one moment. So can everybody see my screen? No? Okay, so I'm going to share it again. Now, can everybody see this purple screen here? Okay, so Toggle, this is a system. Most of these that I'm going to mention have free trials, and most of them then after the trials have free options for you to use on an ongoing basis, right? So Toggle is a time tracking tool. It's very easy to use. It's very good if you have more than one person in your business. It's very good for managing projects. But also it's only as good as the use that's made of it, right? So that's one time management piece. There's loads of them. There's absolutely loads of them out there, but that's one of the most popular ones and one of the easiest to use. So I'm going to go back into the presentation now for a moment. So I'm going to be switching between screens, so do bear with me. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Okay, the second system, I'm not going to go into it on the screen, but it's called ClickUp, clickup.com. We use it here. It's one of the systems we use, and we use the paid version. And most of these we use the paid version now for, because the volume of work we have. But ClickUp is a really, really good system when we're trying to manage projects and give ourselves reminders of what needs to be done, assign tasks to certain people in the business. Myself and the ladies here that work with me find this a really, really good tool. And it is, again, all these systems are great when you make use of them. There's a free option with ClickUp as well. So that's a great system if you're trying to, for instance, run marketing campaigns, or running, in your case, James, if you're developing something and you're on a timeline. So you probably have your own system already, James. I'm sure you know exactly what you're at. You don't need this, but it's just to use that as an example. CRM systems, massively, massively important in this sector. If you don't have one, you should have one. That's what I would always say. There are a lot of free options out there. We use one called lethannoyingcrm.com. And it is a brilliant system. We use the paid version of it. It integrates with our Google Calendar, and it integrates with our appointment system as well, our online booking appointment system, which we have for specifics like Peace Commissioner appointments and client inquiry appointments. So that's a very, very good system. But HubSpot is another one that has a good CRM system on it. And that's where you keep all your clients, your contacts, your suppliers, and anyone who has stayed, used, or visited your services or your properties or your facilities or your business in to date. So we have it broken into groups. On that CRM system, we can break it into different years of trade, different sectors that we work with, which is great because when we want to send out a communication to them, we have a ready-made list to export into our marketing toolbox. And I think that's really, really, it keeps everything clean. You can update your contacts as and when you're talking to them. You can make notes. You can load up files that are relevant to each client or each guest stay. So for instance, if it was an accommodation facility and there's 1 or 2 people in accommodation that wanted to be here this morning, if they wanted to put up the booking form to each guest that stayed, you can do that. If you want to flag a call with that person, you can do that and a reminder will come up. So a CRM system is a brilliant system to take an Excel sheet listing. And I know a lot of small businesses have Excel sheets with a list of their clients and contacts on them and import them into the CRM system. The CRM systems, every one of them that you'll find online will give you a trial period. So do not commit to one unless you know it's going to fit your business. And not every CRM system will fit your business, okay, or your entity. Immediate access tools. Now, when I say immediate access tools, I mean where you can find everything. They're easy, they're quick. You don't need to be doing a whole lot of faffing around with passwords or logins or going to different sites. These are different, these are immediately accessible. So ClickUp, which I mentioned as a time management piece, but it's more than that. So you can easily go in there and access project pieces, timelines. You can do mind mapping. You can do whiteboard exercises on it. So it's a really quick and easy one. One of the most valuable pieces that we use in our business, and it's a free one, is Google Drive. Who here uses Google Drive? Anyone use Google Drive? Okay. That's a surprise. Google Drive is really, really good. We use it. We have our actual drive for the business on it. We have all our files on it. It's very secure. It's easy at the click of a button to get into with the right access. It's incredibly multifunctional. You have your Google Docs in there. You have PowerPoint presentations in there. You have everything, photographs, the whole lot. James is smiling at me. But these things are really, we find them very valuable. If you're a small business, it's a good starting point, right, to use them. We're a small business. I'm not making any bones about that. The Google Calendar. Google Calendar will integrate with a lot of different CRM systems. So if you've got a Google Calendar system and you decide to use a CRM system, they can be integrated together easily. So it's just a question of taking the time to set things up, look at them and see, okay, what do I need and how will I do this? And once you've it done, it's done. Okay. But again, you have to use it to get real benefit from it. Connect and Meet, which is something that we're all doing a lot more of now, online and offline, since COVID. So you have WhatsApp for Business. Don't use the general WhatsApp. If you are in business, WhatsApp for Business is the more secure option for you. And that'll allow you to do telephone calls, video calls, and send messages. Zoom, we're on it now. There's a lot, we have the paid version of Zoom, and I think we have the highest paid version of Zoom because we use it for webinars like this. We use it for video recordings. We use it for podcasts. We use it for a lot of different pieces in our business. It's a one-stop shop for anything like that where you're meeting, connecting with people. It's very easy to use. You have your recordings there as well that you can use afterwards. And the packages are quite reasonable from a starting point. You also get a free option if you need it. Microsoft Teams. I'll be honest, I'm not a lover of Microsoft Teams. A lot of corporates use it. We do use it from time to time, depending on our client, because it might be their preferred meeting option, and that's absolutely fine. For me, I don't find it as easy to use, I'll be honest with you, but it might suit your needs. So it's not a case of one size fits all. FaceTime, we all know about FaceTime if you're on Facebook. It's a free service. It can be very handy to use as a small business, especially if a client or a customer or a guest contacts you. It's a nice piece to be able to up the ante with your customer service delivery. So, you know, offer to do a FaceTime call with them if they have any queries about their stay, or if they need any more information on the area when they're coming to visit. That stuff is really valuable. So I'm going to give you an example. We booked, well, my husband booked just a 2-night stay for myself, him and my daughter at Easter, and he did it there at the weekend. And yesterday morning, he got a FaceTime call from the owner of that property to say, is there anything else you need? Would you like X, Y, and Z when you arrive? Is there any activities you'd like to look into for your daughter, and all that jazz? But that was like, it took a lot of pain out of what we're going to have to do. And it's a small piece because people are busy, okay? Again, in some of the CRM systems, you can connect and meet. Some of them have that option. And then Calendly, which allows your clients or your guests, your customers to make an appointment or book in. So you can use that as well. And there's a lot of other, with Calendly, not just connect and meet, but there's a lot of other options similar to Calendly out there. And I just picked ones off the top of our head. If I was to give you a full list, you would be here all day. Okay. Has anybody any questions so far? No. Okay. Now, the juicy stuff. Pure marketing. Okay, so marketing is all about the fancy word for sales, really. The two of them are relative. It's all about getting your customers to you, right? So these are a couple of tools that I think, and a couple of the points that I think are important. Canva. This presentation that I'm showing you, Canva. Videos we produce, Canva. Flyers, any marketing material, program material, because we produce it all on Canva. Canva is priceless. But again, it's like going down a rabbit hole. I love design. I love looking at what you can do with stuff, but I don't have the time to do as much as I'd love to of it because we have to look after our clients. So just be mindful that if you get into Canva, you could end up on it longer than you had originally anticipated, but it's an incredibly, incredibly powerful and useful tool. It's incredibly reasonable. It has templates for literally everything. And I mean literally everything. They have introduced a web aspect to it now where there's web templates for setting up websites and landing pages, video pieces, presentations. It's incredibly useful. Now we have the pro version of it because we need it. We use it a lot. You can load your own images. You have file setups there for different projects you're working on. I would actually say to everyone, look at Canva, because no matter whether you're a voluntary business, whether you're a tourism business, whether you're any other sector business really, and the port as a region, look at it because you can use it for literally anything. Two pieces that I put together here because they do similar jobs, MailerLite and MailChimp. And they basically enable you to communicate with your list of contacts. So that list that I referenced there on the CRM system, you can lift and shift those lists and those groups into MailerLite or MailChimp, and you can design your communication piece on those and send them out. Obviously, there are spam rules on it and GDPR rules, and you have to be mindful of that when you're using both. But they're two very, very good tools, two reasonably priced tools as well. There is a free option up to a certain amount of contacts on it. Definitely something for smaller businesses, smaller entities. And I know a lot of larger entities that use them. We have a database of over 3,000 contacts. So we use these on a regular basis. So for instance, our Christmas communication that went out there at Christmas came from MailerLite. We were on MailChimp, we moved to MailerLite. So I think just look at one of them, whatever suits you, right? Podbean, very, very good for podcasting. There's lots of them out there. And sometimes you can get overwhelmed by the amount of options you have. So I would always say pick 3 and then pick one, final one, right? Pick 3 to look at, and then select the one that's going to fit you and fit your business and fit your requirements. We use Podbean for our Business Time Live podcast, and we find it very, very efficient, very simple, and straightforward to use. Now, most people have iPhones, but a lot of people as well have other phones. Whatever type of phone you have, you can use it. Use it for videos, use it for posting. A lot of people, when they come to us, they say, oh, I need a really professional, slick video. That's great, but not straight away, you don't. And if you look at the videos that are engaged with, a lot of professionalism can be attached to short and snappy videos on your phone. Okay, and you can post. The one good thing about the video piece on the iPhone is you can edit it, but also you can share it out and do stuff on it that you can't do from a screen. All right, so just to be mindful of that, use your phone, look at what use you're paying for it, look at what use can be made of it to benefit your business and your port. Zoom is part of the marketing tool, and we mentioned it already as a connect and meet tool. It's also a marketing tool. The right social media platforms, not every social media platform. We've had businesses coming to us saying, Mags, I need to be on every platform. And I'd say, why? Why do you need to be on every platform? Are your ideal clients and customers on all those platforms? And you have to be honest, are they? Because for every platform that you select, that's time, right? You have to be smart, not just with the tools you use, but with the time you have. So, for instance, we're active on LinkedIn, a little bit of Facebook, Instagram, and a little bit of Twitter. I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Snapchat. And I don't want to be on something 24/7, because if you're on something 24/7, then you have no business. You have no clients, you have no guests, you have no work to be doing. And you can plan this out. And that's something I want to reiterate, because it's something I left out there on purpose, actually, because there's a lot of problems with it at the moment. And that is the following. If you want to manage your social media platforms, you have tools there like Buffer and HubSpot, where you can schedule your posts to go across different platforms at certain times. And you can do that in advance, and it saves you a bit of time. But you need to be careful about which platform you use and make sure that it's the right one. And that if it says it's going to schedule, don't take it for granted, test it and see. Because not all of the platforms will schedule and post to not all of those platforms that facilitate scheduling will allow you to post to all the different social media platforms, if that makes sense. Okay. I know I'm very conscious that I'm going through this really quickly, but I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. If you're doing research, the following are very useful, and it might surprise some of you when I go through it. MailerLite and MailChimp, I mentioned both, great for sending out emails, surveys, questionnaires, getting opinions. Twitter, you can do a Twitter poll. Very, very powerful piece, very simple to set up, but you must be active on Twitter in order to facilitate the poll. And that'll help you garner the opinion on the ground from real people. Facebook, again, you can do a poll on that. LinkedIn, the same. But be mindful of the focus on both of those. Facebook is is where people hang out personally of a certain age profile. LinkedIn is where we have our professional hat on us. That's our work Facebook, as I said to somebody recently. Instagram, you can get opinion there as well, and you can use links. ClickUp, that's really good for research. So you can map out what research you need, time it, schedule it, and remind yourself that it needs to be done. SurveyMonkey, the clue is in the name, you can do surveys. And one thing that we do, and we did it on quite a lot of projects last year, is we always provide needs analysis. And we do that through one or more of those platforms, dependent on the sector and the company we're dealing with. And HubSpot. HubSpot has a huge amount of ability. There is a cost applied to it. There is different, you can use a lot of the different pieces in HubSpot to support you with any project research that you're undertaking. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. And then customer, visitor, guest service, something I'm quite passionate about and I hate to see done wrong. Okay, so this is a key differentiator, guys. If you're trying to differentiate your port, your business or your entity from another, this is how you do it, with how you treat the people you're interacting with, how you treat your guests, how you follow up with them. Not just treat them while they're there, but to follow up afterwards. Do you thank them for visiting? Do you thank them for staying? Do you thank them for spending their money in your region and in your business? Email. Canva again. You can do up a beautiful thank you document on Canva. Okay. And once it's done, it's done. And you use it then to send it out to your customers, your visitors, and the people who spend money in your business to help pay your bills. Video. Can you send a thank you video? Can you give them more information? So for instance, Barry, if somebody, I don't know if they book in before they come or what way you do it, but regardless, can you give more information on the location ahead of people coming? You know, for instance, you can park here. This is what's in close proximity to where we are. This is our postcode, or the air code, as we say here in Ireland. What can you do to make this more enjoyable, more easy, and less stressful for people before they come, when they're there, and after they leave? Because after they leave is as important as before they come, because you want them to remember you. You want them to remember that you are there. If we don't remind people, they forget about us. Another thing that's nice is testimonials, thank yous. Like what I mean by that is, can you ask, you know, could you ask if somebody had a really good experience, can you ask them, would you mind giving us a very short testimonial in your own time? It would really help our entity just increase awareness of what we are and tell more people and educate more people about the history of the area, or in the case of a hotel, about the services we provide, and give them an option of an enjoyable stay. E-commerce and online booking. Have you got an e-commerce website? Could you apply an e-commerce element to your website? Do you have online booking? Can you do online booking? For me personally, as somebody who is working and whose husband is working, and that's most houses now, hopefully in some capacity, that I want to book it online if I can, or at least if I'm going to pick up the phone, I want someone going to answer the phone to me. I want to speak to a person, not an answering machine, right? Jenny, my colleague here, spent an hour yesterday, easily, on the phone to a phone provider, which nearly melted her head, it's fair to say, right? To me, that's bad customer service. You know, we're busy. We needed that. We needed information instantly. We needed to get a phone back on track. There was a problem with the connectivity. So, you know, that was an easy fix if there's someone there to fix it or to help us to fix it. We're not asking them to do it for us. So likewise, look at what can you do online. How can you use your site and your tech that's at your fingertips to make things better for you, less stressful for you, less stressful for your customer, visitor, or guest, and more effective, right? How can you add value with systems and resources? So with Canva, you can add value by doing up a piece about location and port information, not just about your business. They're not just coming for your business. Don't kid yourself in that. You want them to come for the full location experience. Research has shown in the last 2 to 3 years, that is what people want now when they're traveling and when they're visiting a location or a region. They would like a location experience. So how can you add value? Can you work with other people on the ground, those contacts and counterparts I spoke about at the outset in your region, to add value? And the biggest challenge, or what I consider the biggest challenge, is tangible delivery. How can you make what you're offering tangible to that person before they come to you? How can you describe it, show it, because in many cases you can't touch it, feel it, sense it, or taste it before you come to the port, before you come to the business. So get real with it and just say, and don't be looking for perfection. As an affirmation actually that I used the other day in that radio piece was something Sheryl Sandberg says, and it always really connects with me, is done is better than perfect. Yes, you have to have standards, and I have standards and they're very high, but done is better. If you're striving for perfection, you won't get it. And I think people are looking for real people as well. And that's where, Barry, I was mentioned there about video. I think even to get the people that work in your entity to do a piece to video, come to see us. We're here, we're ready to rock. We'd love to tell you about our region. We'd love to get you introduced to our community and make you more aware of the history and the fabulous adventures of all those pieces that you mentioned, Barry, right? The adventures of all those ships. And World War I, actually, Barry, is something that we're very cognizant here in Ireland over the last couple of years, because there's a lot of synergy between the Irish and the English element in that, in a very good way. And I think that's something we're very conscious of, because of the connection there. So that's something that you could actually capitalize on between the Irish and the English sides, or the Irish and the Welsh sides, rather. So that's very important too, Barry, to get that right. So I think that is something that could be capitalized on. Absolutely. Okay. You'll be glad to know I'm going to finish now shortly. One of the things that I'd always say to everyone, regardless of sector, regardless of business, regardless of location, you need to balance the online with the offline. And there's a saying here from Martin Lindstrom, and Martin is probably, he builds a lot of big brands globally. He's a Danish entrepreneur. Online marketing rarely is able to appeal to more than 2 of our senses. Yet offline marketing, if utilized in the right way, represents the option of multi-sensory appeals. I will never not be active offline, because it's building relationships with people. You're dealing with a real person. But I also recognize, and I'm a champion of online as well, but it's getting the balance right. And that's the biggest challenge, I guess, for businesses. A lot of it is there's a fear around systems and going online to use different things. We think if we press a button, we're going to blow the place up. We're not. You can fix everything, but try these out. If you don't try, you'll never know. Okay, but keep that balance right. Don't forget that there's an offline piece in the mix as well. And James, I'd like to invite you now to take over. James Smith from the University College Cork. I'd like to thank you, first of all, for being here, and thanks for agreeing to do this. And I'll hand over to you. James is going to speak about the Ports Places app, a very positive and powerful piece that was developed by James and his team. Thank you, James.
Hi, everyone. So firstly, with these links, I'm going to ask the Bofin to put the links into the blurb for the YouTube video so that people can click on them. But also, if we could send out the presentation itself, that would be useful. But it's also all on the website, which I'll show you where we're going to go now. So basically, I'm about to share my screen. Right, so essentially, the thing to remember about the Port Places app is that it's a different approach to creating an app. So a lot of app work is essentially used to, you pay an app supplier and they create a particular app based on the resources and tools that are available to them. But then after that funding, after you can't continue to pay to maintain it, and there's often like quite hefty yearly maintenance fees, you can lose the app, lose access to it. Whereas the approach that we took is apps as a type of regional development. So the app was developed as part of an active project in the UK in Lancaster called Safanama that has other versions of this app. Port Places is a particular version of an ongoing project that will long outlast Ports past and present, and it will continue to grow and develop and have new features. But basically, this is one particular themed version of it that you can download and share with people. And I'll get to how you can share it with people at the end. But basically, there's also opportunities. The code for the app is available to repurpose. Safanama could even, if you, even after the project is over, if there was interest, and there already is some interest in making other versions of Safanama that are around the idea of port heritage, and there are other ways that it can be used. So for example, there's a version of it being made about e-commerce at the moment, about silk sellers in India. So there are other features within the overall. So if you have needs that aren't met by the sort of default port places, even after July, there will be the opportunity to talk to Deborah Sutton at Lancaster and the developer Jack, and say what your needs are. And there are continuing ongoing developments. And we've mostly finished what we wanted out of the app, but we're currently doing our last big thing, which is making sure it's as well integrated with multiple languages as possible. So it's easy to add in your bits of text in different languages, to add new languages, and to make it so that for tourism purposes, you can have as many languages as you want and fill in as many translations as you want, and that will be our final thing. And we'll be making sure that our Welsh content matches that, and then in terms of what we've added to it, it'll be done, but the journey of the app will continue. But basically, the app kind of like, I'm mostly going to be talking about the back end, as it's called, the authoring tool, where you would go and make material. Anyone can make material on the app. I don't actually, other than the featured list of experiences on port places, we don't, you know, everyone has the same ability to work in the authoring tool, but essentially we might, I'll just show you what it kind of looks like. So basically, oh no, that one doesn't have any screenshots in. I'll use a different one. Yeah, so you have an overall map and you can see where the different locations is. This is for the Pembroke Dock to Rosslare Harbour crossing, but you can, that's very zoomed out. But also once you go into a particular location, you press on the icon, you can see images, captions, text, audio, video if you want it. There's basically my first thing I would say is that the biggest bit of work you need to do with designing an experience, talking about what Mag said about location experience, is to think about what are you trying to do. So do you have a set of pictures of different locations? Like Mags was talking about, people don't just want the one business, they want the experience. If you are enmeshed in a place and you're a, like for example, a maritime museum or a cafe, and you have a sort of neighborhood, a context, you might consider what other locations sort of link to the story of your business. Think about like what kind of story of the place in which your particular business is located or your particular organization, and think of a set of locations that are meaningful for you. That might be a story of something that happened. That might be a set of things that are all of a particular type, like sculptures or cafes or, I don't know, archaeological sites, anything like that. And think about what kind of media you want to use to represent it, because the authoring tool primarily works on media, so images, audio, video. You have to think about what I mean, and if it is a bunch of text that you have from, say, a blog and you want to use it, you might consider recording some audio for it, or think of a way of compressing it down, because it's definitely a sort of less is more environment where having shorter bits of text and images and media is more effective than larger, because otherwise you get the sort of scrolling wall of death, which is not a very appealing experience. So I would say less is more. So basically, when you start, you'll be going to the authoring tools website, which is safanama.lancs, Lancaster, lancs.ac.uk. We'll put that in the notes so that you know what that is. But basically, the first thing that will happen when you go there is it'll ask you to log in with a Google account. So Max was saying about the value of Google Drive. If you use any Google service, Google Drive, Google Calendar, whatever, Gmail, you're going to have a Google account, and you're probably already logged in from using whatever that other service is. So just log in using the account that you already use for everything else. And then everything you create from then on in will be associated with that. Then you'll end up on a page like this one, basically, which is the sort of authoring. And then you'll need to create an experience. So when you go to experience, you can either open one that already exists, and there'll be like a list of, you know, existing projects, and you then click open. But if you haven't made one before, you'd be wanting to click create, and then you give it a name, you give it a description, and that's a little blurb that'll come up, but you can change that in the future. So just the description of what it is, essentially, so that people can look at it on the app and say, well, what is it that I'm opening? And then you choose a project. So in our case, you would always say ports past and present, because that's how the authoring tool knows to open it into that particular app. Because like there are other apps like the Silka project, which is the one I was talking about before. So just pick ports past and present, and it'll come up in the right app. And that's how you know to point it at in the right direction. And then if you ever want to like change that description, you can always just click edit experience here, experience edit, and change the name or that little blurb whenever you want. Now, the main thing you need to do once you've created it is you'll have essentially a map with nothing in it. What you then need to do is find wherever you are in the world, like it's Google Maps. So you got to find where you want to be, you know, like we're in Cork, because I've been using Cork as an example just because it's like the area closest to where I'm physically located right now. But you then zoom around the map to find wherever you are. And then basically what you do is, so when you've thought about what type of images or type of material you want associated with your locations, because the experience is essentially a set of locations. It could be, you know, things you can walk between. It could be just, like I said, a set of similar things. It's entirely up to you what they are and what they mean. And basically what you want to do is have all of the text you want to use in a file somewhere saved before you even start, get it all laid out so that you can just copy and paste and save all the images you want, so that you've got it all in one place, you know where all your stuff is, so that you can start uploading things. Because basically, and you want to know where your pins are. So for example, like let's get to the right one. You might have a map location. Like basically you can use Google Maps for this. You can just try and find the location of the particular thing you want to work with. So just for my experiment, I'm using this pharmacy, which appears on a website called the Cork Folklore Project. So I was imagining hypothetically, I might be using a particular set of locations within that folklore project, which is a really nice project with lots of different stuff, like interviews and audio with people from Cork about different businesses, different locations. But you might hypothetically have a resource that's similar to that. But basically you'd be picking out what you wanted. And I found my place on the map, my first place, I found it. But what I'm going to do now is firstly get some media. So what you have is you have a media library. And my library currently has a location in it, which has an image, an audio file, which is an interview, and a block of text that I used. But what I want is to upload some more stuff. So basically you can upload a lot of stuff. You could upload images, PNG and JPEG format images, videos, MP4. I'd recommend not making videos that are too long, because they take up a lot of room and they can be slow to load. But it's still a good option. You can use audio in MP3 format, which is a nice sort of small compressed format, or you can use PDFs. So if you have brochures or anything like that, you can put those on there. But what we're going to do is I'm just uploading a file. I'm not sure if it's I think I need to mute someone's microphone because there's some background noise, but basically there's I don't know if you can see the upload, but you can just pick some files to upload. So I'm going to pick an interview, and I'm going to pick another, like an image of that pharmacy, and I'm going to upload them. And you'll be in a little pop-up, and you'll see like a percentage bar. And when it's green, it'll say upload complete for your files, and you press done. And then what will happen is after a while, they'll appear on this menu here. And basically what you can then do is you can edit them. They have, edit media. You can give them a name, which comes up in big text, a description, which is slightly smaller text. Acknowledgements is really small text under the image, just like who the copyright holder is, or, something like, courtesy of whoever. And then you can also add in a link to a website. So if you have a particular website you want people to go to afterwards, you can give it whatever name you want there. And then you can paste in like any link that you want, and it will allow people to open that up in their browser on their phone. And then they can go back to the app and look at other things. But it means it's a way of linking back to your other online resources or any other web resources that you have. Then what you can do once you've done that, I won't do it here, but you can add everything, all your pictures and all your text into here, and go through and give them all of the information that you want in this media library. So if you prepared it all in advance, let's say hypothetically you have 10 pictures of 10 pharmacies, I'm just hypothetically, and then you have a little bit of text, the title and text describing each one in a Word document. And then you have some links you might want to use to link to each one. That would be viable, that would be enough. But you might also have 10 audio recordings, like with the Cork Folklore Project. That's why I picked it, because it's a combination of photographs and audio. You might have something you want people to listen to. You can have 10 of those. You could upload all 30 of those. Oh, so, 10 images, 10 audio clips, and then you can go in and add the sort of sets of information for each of those. You could do that all in this media library, and then you've got it all there for every location. So you could then use any of those media items for any location. But then the sort of thing you're going to do it once, and I'll do it once, and then you just do it again and again, essentially, until you're done, is create locations. So we say, oh, where is this pharmacy? So I've said create place, which if you got to go back, you go places, create. And you can also see a list of like all of them, like view all. It's just like using Google Maps. If you get lost, you just move around like you would in a normal Google Maps. It's no different. So we'll go places, create, and we'll pin it. One tip I have is get in as close to the location as you can before you drop the pin, so that it's really, really accurate. Zoom in as far as you possibly can before you put it there, because otherwise it might look a bit skew-if when you zoom out at distance. You can't really see how accurate it is until you're right in there. But then you might give it a, so we'll call it North Street Pharmacy. Now, this is another thing you can do, is give it a type. So it could be, you could say it's a monument, you could say it's a building. Let's say it's like a private building here. These icons, there's sort of a default set, but you can, as you can see from mine, you can make loads more. If you want to make your own, you can download, there's loads of them on the internet, free icon sets of particular themes. You just download the files to your desktop, and you can click add new and just make your own icons, give it a name, pick an icon by uploading it. You could have your own custom set, like the Five Lamps Art Festival in Dublin had their own set made, like really nice ones by their illustrator. They're all like themed, and you just give them all a name, and then you can just scroll through the menu and pick whichever one you want. And then we come back to what we were doing before, which is we say what media is associated with this location. So let's say we want to have the Northgate Pharmacy image and the audio. they appear in the order you click on them, but you can shuffle them back and forth like a deck of cards. And this is exactly how they'll appear on the app, like first the image, then the text about the image, then any link. So we might say, you know, we might give it a name, we might give it a description, you know, this is a pharmacy. We might say, you know, courtesy of, you know, the X, like the Cork Folklore Project. We might then, you know, for example, go in and let's get that up. We might then copy the link, and we might say, you know, we might say link, and just paste it in. You know, paste the link in. It can be any link. I think it doesn't like HTTP links, like non-secure links. So, but that's increasingly rare in the modern internet to find just an HTTP link. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if you have any trouble when you click edit and nothing happens, that is probably why. And you click edit, and now we've got, this one's got a name. Then you go through and you can add, you know, things about exactly the same. Just do it for any item you have. There's no rule saying how much or how little text you have to have. You can have as much as you think satisfies what you think will tell the person using the app what they need to know about the item. And then you click create. Now it's there. So we've got that one and another one I created as a demo. And then you literally just do that again. And one thing to remember, this is a little tip. If you're in the entry for a particular location and you accidentally move the point, because you can move it anytime when you're in there, don't panic, just go back and it'll reset. Like, don't worry about it. But if you had to, you could just move it back to where it was before. It's quite forgiving in that way. Now, once you've made your location, this circle is what's called the trigger zone. And that's basically if you have all your notifications enabled on your phone, when you come inside this circle, you'll get a notification on your phone telling you about this location. You can change the size of them. The only thing to remember is I would not expand the size of these until you've put all of your locations down, because you can't drop a new pin inside, and so you could put a pin there, but you can't move it inside an existing circle unless you click and drag. You can't. So if I click anywhere here, click, it'll move, but I can't click inside this existing circle. But that's not a big deal, because if you wanted to have two things that were right next to each other, you just click and drag it. But you can avoid that altogether by just not changing the size of your circles until you're done, basically. Then literally you would do that exact same step 5 times, 10 times, however many times. Then you have a set of locations, and you've checked that you can look on the media library, check that they've got all the information in by clicking on the little edit. If you don't want something anymore, you can just delete it. You can just have a quick look at, you know, what information you've put there, make sure you're happy with everything. If you want to then, you know, shuffle things around, you can go in and out and just click save and shuffle anything around you want, like a deck of cards. And then the other thing you can do is make routes. So if you want to have a linear route, like a walk, you can easily just click a route. I already made this purple one here, but you can make as many as you want. And then you just click on a location, and that's the starting point. And then you would just go click. Every time you click, it makes, you know, the line longer. It's like basically like that. You see what I'm doing? You just, every time you click, it creates a new step. So if you have I don't know, a curved road, you just have to sort of slowly click around the curve of that road or something like that until it gets you to where you want to go. And then you just press create and you've got a new route. And then if you don't like that route for whatever reason, it's not useful to you, you can just get rid of it, basically just delete it from the list. There's a view all list, and you can just delete any route that you don't like or is not what you wanted, and it's gone. Then the last step, after you've got the number of locations you want, and they all have the media items and the text, which, like I said, could it be a sentence or a word? It doesn't matter. It's really up to what do you want to say. There are no like guidelines. You can say as much or as little as you want, but just think about what's going to be the most engaging, and think of it as a stack of cards. Like if you lined up a sort of ace to a 10 on a suite of cards, and you just move them around into the order that you want them to be, and that's how they'll appear on the app. Then what you do, the app will then, when you look at it on the phone, it will just frame the map to the maximum extent of all of the points that you've put on there. So in this case, it would like start about here on the city so that you could see both of these locations and this. So don't worry about the frame of the map. The app will do that for you. It will zoom in on the place that you've put all of your stuff, basically. I generally find it's best to be sort of, like I said, targeted, specific, and coherent in a sort of relatively small place. Although I've played around, like I said, with longer things like the ferry crossings and longer stretches, you can do that. Do whatever you want, but just have a look at the results on the phone. Then when you're done, you just click on publish, which is on the left-hand menu. I've already published this once. Here's one I prepared earlier. But whenever you make any changes, you just click publish changes again, and the version will update, and it'll tell you the date and the time that you made a new version. Now, essentially, you have a QR code here, and like all QR codes, you save the image to your computer, and you can put that on anything. You can put it on pamphlets, you can put it on the wall, you can blow it up really big, laminate it on an A4 piece of paper, which I've done. You can make it quite big, it's quite good quality, and it will still work. You can put that on literally anything you want in the physical world. Better to use it on physical objects, because if you ever want to link to an experience you've made on a computer on the internet, you're probably better doing it using this. So basically every one of these, if you go to this link here, you click on it, there's a sort of website it will take you to where you can, if you open this on your phone, you can download the app, and then you click download experience and that QR code comes up again. So if you want to scan it with another device, you can do that. Or if you're on the phone that you just downloaded the app for, you just click open app. It'll launch your experience into the app. So basically this website will tell people what to do. You don't have to really tell them what to do. They'll figure it out. If they already have the app, they can just click open app and then the experience will come up. If they click on the QR code, it will basically just load this website as well. But there's also a thing within the app where you can also scan the QR code, and that will just open it inside the app. You can't really go wrong because you will end up in the same place no matter where you do it. But yeah, so just the distinction is QR codes are for physical spaces, for printed products. We're going to be putting quite a lot of things on signs, etc. But on the internet, you're better off using that link that you get from the authoring tool that you just go to publish, and you can easily like copy and paste it and then use it for whatever you want, basically. So it really is just pick the right items, pick the right text, lay them all down, rinse and repeat, save, 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 and then publish, essentially. And if you want to add a linear route, then you can. And you have complete control over what kinds of items that you want to use and what you say about them. But basically, I would say if you do most of the work, 90% of the work on your computer before you even open the authoring tool, you can get one of these done in half an hour. It's all about the preparation. And with that, I'll hand you back to Mags. And all the resources, all the tutorials, all the videos are available via those links to revisit that. But if you can do one location and add one set of media, you've got it. You can just repeat that, and it's just the same thing again and again.
That app is multi-purpose. You could use that, even the QR code alone could be used by so many businesses to help them drive and promote their location and their business as well. I think what I'm going to do, James, if it's okay with you, I'm going to put all that information that you provided, those live links, up on the dedicated page that we have, but I'm also going to put them on YouTube, and we will share those out if that's okay with yourself. I'm going to go back now to the presentation because I'm just conscious of people's time. I don't want to be taking more of your time than I should. Now, so these are the links that James has kindly provided, and I will get those out to everybody. Myself and Jenny will get those out and put them up online as well. I'm definitely going to take a look at that, and I'm definitely going to share it with businesses that I know myself in the 5 ports. I think it's a really good tool, James, really, really good tool. And another example of something that just costs you a bit of time and preparation, and that's it. Okay. With all of the information that we've bombarded you with this morning, and as I said, if anyone wants to have a call separate with me, that's absolutely fine. And I offer that out to businesses who are listening to this as a recording after the fact as well. All of that information is great, but now you need to plan simple and smart. And everything that we do, actually, that's what it all comes back to. And these are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. What do you need to help you in your business? What resources, what tools do you need to help you in your business in the season ahead? Look at what you have already. What do you have? Like I mentioned there, that if you've got internet access, well, that's a good thing. Most businesses do, but use it to get access to some or all of those tools that we provided today, or more. There's a lot more than those out there. Don't go too hard at this. You know, as I said earlier on, you can be overwhelmed by the volume of stuff that's available online, and sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. And I put my hand up and say I've been guilty of that, and it can melt your head. So you need to be mindful and focused about what you have and what you need. Okay, what do you need to consider? So what I mean by that is, do you need to consider your time? Do you need to consider the tech requirement in-house? Do you need to consider learning that you may need to engage with? All of those pieces. What will fit your business needs? One thing that I hear a lot of is from business owners all over the world and all over Ireland and beyond. Megs, I need to do this, I need to do this. Why do you need to? What will fit your business? It's not about your port or your business marrying itself around everyone else. It's about you fitting. Your business has to fit around you, not the other way around. So what will fit your business needs and your port needs? What will help you reach your goals and reach your full business and location potential? So for instance, I think one of the key things that help every single port in the mix here in terms of location potential is collaboration, working together, networking among yourselves, and having real conversations, and not talk shops, real conversations where there are action items coming out of it, and working together in a collaborative way, right? That's one thing I feel will help every single port. There's always more in the tank. That's what I always say. And if something's not working, then what needs to change? Okay. So there are just some questions I would ask. Simple steps to a positive plan then. Simple 5 steps. Set dedicated time aside to plan, and do not compromise that time, because it's easy to say, oh, I'm too busy, I can't do that. But then you'll never have time. Make time. I have to do it here in my own business. We came back to the office here on Monday, and to say there was a full schedule looking at us for the next 3 to 4 months is an understatement. But we have to be very strict with our time and say, right, in the instance of course past and present, we have time locked away. Nothing comes between that and another project, right? So we also have time, though, dedicated to our own business, Bofin Consultancy time, and we're listed as a client to ourselves. So we have to be very strict and very firm with our time when we need to get things done ourselves. Sometimes there are long-fingered pieces that you don't really want to do, but you have to look at what they'll make possible. Set your goals. What do you need to reach your goals? What do you need to do to reach your goals? What are your goals for 2023 and 2024? Because in an area where tourism drives a lot of the business in general, even into other sectors, You need to be mindful of the season ahead of the one you're in. So 2023 and 2024, not just the 1 year, but the next year. Be realistic and keep it simple. You're not going to reinvent the wheel, nor do you need to. But keep it. We have 3 simple goals in our business for this year. 3. And we were talking about them here yesterday. We don't need any more than that. Okay. Set items for action in place. Schedule your items for action and commit to it. Say, yeah, I'm going to do this, right? Because if it's on a page and it never gets done, well, it's only a wish, right? So set items for action and set accountability in place too. Be accountable and ask yourself, right, why didn't I do that? I have to do that. Take action and be consistent. That is the secret in business and in success in general, whether it's business, whether it's non-for-profit, you know, whatever entity it's in, whether it's public sector, private sector, irrelevant, whether it's sports, music, technology. Take action and be consistent. It's like I always equate this to sports and to music because they're 2 things I love, right? If you're not consistent in the way you sing or the music you play, you're not going to get any further than where you're at. If you're not consistent as a team, if you're not training every week, if you're not doing the same, just training, getting your skill set up, doing core training, strength and conditioning, if you're not doing that regularly, then your strength falters. It's the same in business. It's the same in tourism. It's the same in those port regions. If you're stepping up to the plate and you're going, right, we need to be stronger, and you know what needs to be done, then you do it and you'll get stronger season after season. Is that okay? Okay. Call to action, consistency. Remember that there's in the Ports Business Network, we have 2 regions. We have Ireland and we have Wales. Let's work together. Let's start connecting. And let's start using the smart tools and resources that we have readily available to us. Now, you know, it's like everything else. I say, I can say this and I do it. I walk the walk as well. I can say this, but it's up to businesses and entities in each of the ports to take action and to start. And there's loads of help. We're here to help if anyone needs it. But I know that there's a really good community in each of the ports as well. So reach out and connect with that. And you know where we are if you need us. And I mean that with a heart and a half. Do reach out, email us info@bofinconsultancy.com with any queries relating to any of this material. And I'm sure James would be happy down the road if there was need for a dedicated presentation again on the Ports Places app. Happy to facilitate that.
We do actually have another one coming next month, like a PPP organised one. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be in the next newsletter, I imagine, or on social media.
And that'd be great because we can share that out as well. James would be happy to do that for you. Okay, all that is left for me to say is thank you. I won't even attempt the Welsh version of that, and I'll Gaurav Mahagot, the Irish version. Have a good week ahead, ladies and gents. Thank you for taking the time this morning to be here with us, and thank you to James for kindly facilitating that information piece. It was incredibly informative and valuable, and we'll speak to you all soon.